We hope you're having a fantastic week. Delegation of duties or delegating tasks to staff members is a topic of questions that we get on a very regular basis from members. And so we're going to try to touch on a few of those things, but just so you know, we've got a lot more information in an extensive article. We've got another video on delegating to licensed massage therapists and a few other topics like that that are out there. But today we're going to talk about general duties and really what does this look like? A handful of years ago, the Illinois Chiropractic Society pursued legislation and were able to codify your ability as a chiropractic physician to delegate duties to both licensed and unlicensed staff. And we work with the Medical Society and a few other organizations in wrapping up that language and really puts us in a position of parity with medical doctors and DOs. And what that looks like in the Medical Practice Act is that you are able to delegate to both licensed and unlicensed individuals certain tasks in your office. Quick limitation is that you're not able to delegate those tasks that are required to be performed by a physician. In other words, you would not be able to delegate examination or the formulation of treatment plans. You wouldn't be able to delegate diagnosis, and obviously you wouldn't be able to delegate actually the adjustment as well. So those are quick things that you would not be able to delegate. Additionally, I also want to clarify there's a big difference in delegation and referral. A referral is when you send a patient to someone else to evaluate, to treat, etc., such as a physical therapist or another chiropractic physician or a medical doctor for evaluation, or even a surgeon for a surgical consult. Whereas a delegation is when you're taking a task that is a part of a treatment plan and assigning it to one of your employees. That's another quick distinction I want to make. There's a big difference in employees and independent contractors. And really, when you get down to the brass tacks and looking at the details of this, it really would not be possible to delegate legally to someone who is an independent contractor because of the requirement by the IRS and the definitions that are out there and the preponderance of evidence in defining someone who is an independent contractor based on the information we have and analysis would indicate that you would not be able to delegate to an independent contractor. Instead, that would be a referral and they would bill under their own numbers. For you, as you delegate to your staff, we're typically talking about employees. We're typically talking about tasks that are not required to be performed by a physician. Now, what else is involved in that whole process? Well, there's a few other key important things that must take place when you look at delegation. First and foremost is that person must be trained to be able to perform that task. Now, what does that mean? Well, the law doesn't specifically define exactly what that means. Instead, you have to make sure that you are fully confident in their ability to be able to deliver those services as if you're performing that task. Second is someone who is licensed to perform the task you're delegating must be in the office. Typically, that's going to be you, doctor. You're not able to assign a particular task to an unlicensed person in your office and then go to lunch. Instead, you would have to remain on premises unless you have another chiropractic physician, another physician, or someone else who is licensed to perform that specific task who is in your office while that task is being performed. Lastly, you as the person who is delegating those services must also be trained to be able to deliver those services. Now, what does that mean? Remember, just because it's in your scope doesn't mean that necessarily you're able to do it. You must actually be trained to perform the tasks that are being delivered in your office. We saw this a lot early on with cold lasers, if you will. We had doctors who were sending their staff to be trained to deliver that service, but they themselves, as the physician, were not trained. In those instances, according to the law, you would not be able to delegate those duties to an unlicensed person who could not otherwise, under their own license, deliver those services. And that's really important, right? So now licensed, how does that all work? I'd encourage you to watch our video on licensed massage therapists and delegating to them. That goes into a lot of detail. But for most of our doctors, as you're delegating to unlicensed staff, you want to make sure that, one, you're trained. Two, they're fully trained and competent to be able to deliver those services confidently. And lastly, you want to make sure that you or someone else who is licensed to deliver those services is on premises when they're being delivered. We hope that this information helps you out, and we'll catch you next week.